Okay, so I've got the model of the building set out now with at least the exterior shell done, and I'll just show you in a 3D view there. We've got all of those exterior walls, particularly, that's the most important thing. And so now I want to get a site plan imported, or a satellite image, essentially, and use that to set some important properties like the value of true north and establish the orientation, in other words, the solar axis, and then we can look at a few other things as well that we can get from that satellite map. So this will probably help you, even if you don't get to do all of this in Revit, just this first part, knowing how to get good satellite maps. So you probably know one of the methods. Everyone would know this, I'm sure, using Google Maps. So we'll definitely get one of those. Normally it should open a bit quicker than this. It's coming on. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so Myrtle Street is around here somewhere. We can search for it, but there we are, I think I've got it. So it's there, basically the site, and so if we change to satellite, then we can get a good view of the locality. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit more. We don't want to go in too far. It's good to have a lot of the surrounding streets included. Maybe a bit closer though. There we are. So, sure, that's something you can all do. Find the property in again Google Maps, get it to satellite view. But then, do you know how to get a screen capture of that? Yeah, there is a keyboard shortcut. That's right, spot on. Yes, print screen is a button on your keyboard. Yep. It is different on a Mac. Oh yeah, on different keyboards as well. Yeah, it can be different. Yeah. So it should work by itself. Sometimes you need to use an option key. So Control Print Screen should work, and that's one option. Then you have to paste it into another program. I'm going to show you another method that's maybe a little bit easier. It's called the snipping tool, which is something that comes with Windows now. So I know on the projector it's cut off, but if you see on the other screens, you'll see this coming up on the Start menu now, the snipping tool there. So that's in Windows now. It has been for quite a while. And so then if you click New, then you just need to click and drag to make a selection, and make sure there that you include the parts at the bottom, especially the scale. So you can see down the bottom right, there's a scale bar there that says 10 metres. And it's a good idea if you can also get the north arrow in there as well. Oh, so down the bottom right corner. So you've got the north arrow there. Yeah. Okay, so then you can save that just by going to Save As on the File menu. And I'll save that. Well, I'll actually save it so you can get to it. But it's, well, sorry, I would if I could get to my P drive. For some reason, my network drives aren't coming up. Okay, so I'll try and copy that across to your P drive later, but that's odd. My P drive, sorry, I can get to it in a different way. Yeah, I'll put it onto the P drive because it'll be good if we can get to it. I should be able to get to it this way. There we are. Okay, so in your VisCom3 folder, I'll save a copy. Maybe I'll just make a new folder. Satellite. Okay, so we'll call this, we'll say it's Google Maps Satellite. Myrtle Street. Okay, so that's one method. And, I mean, it is always good to use Google Maps because, of course, as well as the satellite view, you get Street View, which is a fantastic resource. So I'm sure, again, everyone uses that. That's the best thing about Google Maps. I'm going to show you another one, and it's better for the satellite views. So it's called 6 Maps. Oh, great, yep. So, yep. So 6 Maps is a New South Wales government service which has higher quality or higher resolution satellite images. Yeah, exactly. And that looked, I was going to say that was pretty close to where we were, but let's just check. That looks like Newtown to me, or is it? I mean, I should just search, but I like navigating to find these things.
You know you're being a mouse stereotype.
Yes, that's it. No, that's right. No, I'll search. Okay, so that's a different Myrtle Street. Let's try going to address and doing. Yeah, so because the streets aren't labelled, it is a bit harder to search in this one, but yeah. There we go. So no. Okay, so there we are. So we can just go to this one, and I can't see the park for some reason. Oh, there. Yep, it is there. Okay. So there we are. So you can see much higher detail if you zoom in. A lot of things that you can't see on Google Maps. So it's good to use that as well. So no, they don't have street view. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay, so I'll just use the snipping tool again to grab a copy of that. Okay, so notice here that the scar bar's in the bottom left. So again, I'm going to make sure I include that. And you'll see why that's so important in a moment. So again, I'll save that into the same folder. Okay, so then in Revit, I'm going to go to the True North view, which is actually a site plan. So you'll see site and True North. They actually look different, but they are basically set up as site plans. It's just that True North has a cut plane that's lower. So I'm going to right click on True North and then go to Apply Template Properties and then choose Site Plane. Yeah, it's one of those views that you'll have when you start the project, and it's made for working with True North basically.
So right click on True North.
Yep.
And that's in floor plan?
Sorry, yes, that's right. Yep, True North view. Yep, that's right. So I'll just show you that again. So to get the templates, you right click on the view name and then go to Apply Template Properties. So that's a really useful thing actually. If you ever notice that your views aren't the way that you think they should be, you've got these templates set up for all the main different view types. So there are templates for elevations and sections as well. We just can't see them here because I'm applying it to a plan. But you can see there we've got these two different types of plans, architectural plans for your regular plans, and then site plans, obviously for site plans. So if I choose that and then click OK, you can see now that it's viewing from above. So instead of showing the walls being cut through, it's lifted the cut plane right up above the building, so we're viewing the roof, which is what you want on a site plan, and it's done a couple of other things in the background as well. So now I'm going to insert that. Well, I'm going to insert both images, but I'll do obviously one of them first. So again, on the Insert tab, go to Image, and you can insert any image file. And so you need to go to the P drive. I'm going to have to browse to it in a different way to the way you will. So, how you doing? So you'll just need to remember that you have to go to the P drive, and this is what it'll look like, of course, where you'll see the interior design folder, and then again, hopefully used to finding the Viscom 3 folder.
We can just take our own screenshot too if we want.
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely, yeah, you should. Yep, that's good. Yeah. Okay, so again, here are my satellite images. So I'll start with the Google one. So I'm going to double click, and then click again in the view to place it. Now I'm going to move it, and we'll have to rotate it and scale it afterwards. So it doesn't really matter where you move it to. If you just want to be able to see it, you can easily drag that to one side. Okay, so we can see there, just by looking at the building, our building, and comparing it to what we've got in Revit, that obviously this isn't the right size. And we can also tell it's not at the right angle. So we need to change those two things. We need to scale it to set the size, and then we need to rotate the image to line up with our building. Okay, so we can do the scale using this scale bar. So that's why I said it's important to keep that scale bar. So now I've zoomed into it. I can see this should be 10 metres. So with the image still selected, I'm going to click Scale, and then click a point on the left of that scale bar, and then a point on the right of the scale bar. So 2 points, we're measuring the scale bar, and then type in the size it should be, which is 10,000, or 10 metres. Enter, and we know it's the right size.
Why would you do that? I'm trying to answer, other than just scaling it underneath the drawing.
Oh, just because this is giving some measurement, so we can use that to scale it. When you look at the building there, that's in perspective. Oh yeah, you could use that, but again, because the building's in perspective, it's harder to find points on there that we can use. So, yep. Oh yes, I will. Yep. Okay, I'll repeat that. So, yep. Just do it again. Yep, sure. Oh, it's all going to be recorded. I'm going to do it again for the next one as well. So, yep. Okay. So again, I'll do it again. It's an important step. So again, with the image selected, click Scale. Then click a point on the left of the scale bar. Then a point on the right of the scale bar. Then type in 10,000. And then you can tell visually when you zoom out by comparing the size of the building now with what we've done in Revit. And they should be the same size. You can actually use the building to scale it, but it is better if you've got something with a measurement on it. So now I'm going to move this closer to my building in Revit. So just by dragging it, I can move the building so that it's alongside what I've modelled. I'm not going to put it right on top yet, just nearby. And so now we need to rotate that image, again, so it lines up with what we've done in Revit. So still I have the image selected, and now I'm going to click Rotate. And I need to zoom out a little bit to find the base point. So it's probably a bit hard to see, but hopefully you can see there's a little dot there. And as I move the cursor, it's got a line coming out from there, which helps you find it. So I'm going to find that dot, that's the base point, and I'm going to drag that now onto the corner of the image, the building in the satellite image. Okay, so I'm starting from there. That's my base point on the corner of the building, and now I'm aligning this edge with the side of the building. Then I simply need to bring the cursor down so it snaps to a horizontal line. So now I've aligned the building with what I've got in Revit. So I'm going to drag that now down onto where the satellite image, also where what I've done in Revit is, and you can see that it'll never be perfect because, again, even though it's from very far up in the sky, it's still a perspective. So we can either line up the roof or the floor at the bottom, but we can't line up both. So I'd probably go for the roof. It doesn't need to be perfect, it's really just to give you a bit of an idea of the locality. And then one other important thing, which is the direction of true north. So we can see now very clearly that we've got the north arrow there, so that tells us true north is that direction. Also the side of the image is pointing to true north. So we know that's the direction that the solar orientation is based on. So the sun rises in the east, sets in the west, and noon would be about here. And so then we can set that in Revit, and we'll do that afterwards. But what I might do is just repeat that process with the 6-map image. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate the view, so true north there. Maybe first I'll rename it, and I'll call it, so it's clear to you, true north Google Maps. And then I'll, again, duplicate that view. And this time, I'm going to make sure I choose duplicate with detailing. So hopefully getting used to using that option to duplicate view. But again, if you're not sure which option to use, duplicate with detailing usually is the best one. And so, well, it's this image, and actually, that's a good instance where I can show you where duplicate could be useful. So, I actually want to delete that image. So instead, I will choose duplicate this time. So if you choose duplicate instead of duplicate with detailing, because that image is considered detailing, it'll copy the view without it. Well, sort of 2D things, basically. So images are 2D, but then there are other things as well. Text is also 2D, dimensions, all of those things are detailing. Well, lines are still vectors. It's everything that's not 3D, in a way. That's probably the best way to think of it. So these walls, they're not detailing. But text and dimensions, and yeah, again, even images, they're considered detailing. So, yeah, anything on the annotation tab pretty much, yeah. So I'm just going to repeat that process now with the 6-maps version. So again, clicking on image, and then I'll go to 6 maps, double click, and then click to place it. So again, it's a different size altogether. No problem. We've got the scale bar. It just happens to be 10 metres. That's a complete fluke. It normally would be a different measurement. Okay, but again, I can just repeat the same process. So with the image still selected, I'll click Scale. And then, again, click a point on the left of the scale bar, then a point on the right of the scale bar. Then type in 10,000, because that's what it says on the scale bar, not because that's what you type every time. Okay, so now again, visually we can tell the building there is the same size as what we've made in Revit. So I might just drag it a bit closer to make it easier. And then again, while the image is still selected, I'll click Rotate, find my base point, there it is, drag it onto the corner of my building. And don't try and be too precise here, you're dealing with pixels after all, which is never going to be perfectly accurate. So again, just do what your eyes tell you. If your eyes can't tell, it's close enough. So here I'm clicking onto the side of the building to start measuring, and then coming down until it snaps to horizontal. And there we are, now the building's oriented the same way, and I can drag it to line up with what I've made in Revit. Yeah, that's exactly, the flag I should have taken off. But yeah. So, okay, so what I'll do now is set true north, and then I'll let you have a go at it. So with the image selected still, I'm going to pin it. That's optional, but it's probably a good idea. So you've got the pin icon there on the Modify tab. And I'll go back to my Google Maps version, and again, select the image, and then again, pin. It just locks it in place. And so now, again, I'm going to set true north. So true north sets the direction of the sun. Okay, so that's an important thing for solar studies and rendering and basically anything in Revit that needs to use sunlight. So to set true north, go to the Manage tab, and then under Position, you can choose Rotate True North. Okay, so to use this option, you need to be in a True North view. So notice how over here, I've got True North Google Maps. It could be the other one. So it's still, well, I better rename that actually so it's clear. So True North Google Maps copy 1, I should have renamed and called it, obviously, 6 Maps. So either of those views can be used to set True North, but you can't use the other floor plans. So that's really important. So again, Rotate True North, you'll find under Manage and then Position, Rotate True North. And, now here, you can see it's telling me I can't do it because obviously this option got changed at some point. That's fine. So it should have been set up as a True North view. Somehow this option got changed, but over here in Properties, you can see here where it says Orientation, you can always change that back to True North. It should be set up in the True North view. I don't know why that got changed. But must have been me. I don't know. Anyhow, it's good for you to see that because you might see the same error as well. So again now, if I go to Position, Rotate True North, then you can see we get the gizmo that comes up in the same way it does for Rotate. So that base point there. And this time I need to drag the base point over to the corner of the image. So I've just dragged the base point over to the corner of the image here. So that blue dot. And then I'm going to start with it on that edge. So going from the corner, notice how that edge is parallel with True North. So that's a good edge to use. And now I just need to bring that around so it snaps to 90 degrees. So now you can see north, this north arrow points to the north.
So the convention is north is always correctly up.
Exactly, that's right, that is the convention, that's spot on, yeah. So now you can see it's rotated our building. No, you don't select anything. So I'll do that again, because it's, yeah, it's good to notice that. So, okay, so I'll repeat it. So you just go to Position, and then choose Rotate True North. Then you move the gizmo, you drag that base point over to the corner, snap to the edge of the image, and then bring it around so it snaps to 90 degrees. It won't say 90, but it's got to be vertical. Exactly, yeah, that's right, yeah, that's it. Now, it looked like the building's been rotated, so it's good to notice that. But what's actually happened there is that it's rotating this only in True North views. But if I go to another view, this is my site plan. If I go to a floor plan as well, it'll be the same. You can see the building hasn't been rotated there. It's only in the True North views. And that's a really useful thing because there will be times when you want to show a view oriented to True North. So you've got that if you need it. But most of the time you want the building as it was. So it's got both, got it both ways. So yeah, so it's good if you've noticed that because you wouldn't want your floor plans to be rotated. And so Revit manages that for you. Okay, so I'll give you a chance to do that in a second, but I just want to show you what that has done other than rotate these views. And notice how both of these views, now sorry, this one, you can see this one's rotated. And, oh yes, this one as well, that's right. They're both rotated, both of those are True North views, but this one's not. Now I'll show you something interesting. I can change this view to True North and it'll rotate, or I can change it back to Project North and it'll go back to normal. So I could do that with any of the others as well.
You can do that with any view.
Yeah. And it won't affect the True North direction. So what does that True North do? That's right. We've told Revit where the sun is, which direction the sun should come from. So now I'll go to a view that we were using for rendering. So remember these perspective views, I was showing you some basic rendering. And so if I turn the shadows on there, we should be able to see now the sunlight coming through the windows. But then I'm going to go to that button next to the shadow button. So you can turn that on any time, the shadow's on off button. But then to the left of that, you've got a sun button. And you can go to sun settings. And you need to choose still to get the location. Now it's on Canberra. That's very close to Sydney in terms of the globe. So the orientation would actually be pretty close. If I click apply, so that's showing me, if we were in Canberra, what the sun direction would be at 9:51 on 4th of April. Now you can choose Sydney if you click browse. Unfortunately, this internet gets blocked when we're using the TAFE computers. When you're on your own computers, that should come up automatically and it'll locate you in Sydney just like SketchUp does. But again, here, for some reason, this part gets blocked. That should have like Google Maps there. Oh, there it is coming up finally. Okay, so yeah, I don't know why it's finding Canberra. Let's see if we can do Sydney. Well, it's Bing, it's not even Google. Yeah, it's struggling to find it properly. So instead, you can change this option from Internet Mapping Service to default city list, and then just go through the alphabetical list, and you'll find Sydney there. Don't get the one in Canada, so there we are, Sydney, Australia. It's only like 1 or 2 degrees off Canberra anyway, but yeah, it's good to know how to change it. So there we are, I've got Sydney, and then I'll just try a different date and time. Instead of typing it in here, I'm just going to choose one of these presets. Okay, so do you remember when you were doing your site analysis, did you look at doing some basic shadows for a certain time? No. Oh, okay. All right, so you should at least mark true north, so someone looking at that can tell which direction the sun's coming from. And then if you get time, try and do some basic shadows. And when you're doing your shadow plans or your shadow diagrams, there are certain times that you tend to indicate. Do you know what times you normally would show on a... Yeah? Yeah? Well, pretty close, yeah. So morning, 9 a.m. is the first one, and then midday, and then 3 p.m. They're the standard times. And then there are certain dates. So do you know what the standard dates that you tend to show would be? Pretty close, yeah, that's right. So yeah, summer and winter are the extremes. So the equinox, 22nd of, September and, I always forget the other one, March, of course. Yep, so March and September are the spring and autumn equinox. Yep, so that's when the days are equal. So you'll sometimes do those as well. So you can see you've got presets for those. But then the most common are, again, summer and winter, like you're saying. So they're the extremes. So winter is... Exactly. That's right, exactly, yeah. And you can look at those with your site analysis. So winter is, again, the longest. And so you can see there, if I choose winter solstice, it sets it to 21st of June. And then the time's at midday. So I'll click apply. And then we can again see exactly what the sun's doing in relation to the building at that time. Yes, usually they will. And it's required for every single project because to submit a development application, you're required to submit shadow diagrams. Yeah. Yeah, they require it for every single project. You need to submit shadow diagrams. So it's something you will do for every project you work on. Every single application requires shadow diagrams. Yeah. So, but it's great with Revit. In the old days, we had to do these by hand and project all the lines using tables. We'd look up these big, massive tables with all the angles for the different dates and times, and then project that onto our drawings by hand, and then manually calculate all the shadows. Yeah, it's a really good thing to do manually, so you understand the process. But then with Revit, you can just turn them on. It's amazing. So Here, again, I'm going to check my sun settings and make sure it's on still. And then I'll choose winter solstice. Click OK. And so then I can see exactly what the sun's doing at that time. And if we go back into here, then we can see at 9 AM, obviously we've seen 12, so we'll go to 3 PM. Right, and so that gives you a really good idea of the change. Yeah, that's it. So again, maybe a quick look at summer. So 9 AM, we'll get much shorter shadows, of course, and then 12, and then 3. But again, I think I'll go back to winter and go back to 12. So there we are. So again, that can help you, even if you're going to do your site analysis by hand, just by knowing the orientation. Orientation is an important thing that you want to look at with your site analysis. And also then you've got the locality drawing. So this drawing showing the satellite image is, apart from the fact that it shows locality, it's to scale. So you can print that out, and even if you're going to sketch over it, at least then you've got something that's been scaled properly, whereas if you just print it straight out from Google Maps, how do you know if it's the right size? So that's a really helpful thing as well. So I'll give you a chance to try that, and then we can go a bit further.